Welcome to the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less Coaches Show with the head coach, Doug Wojcik, brought to you by GEICO, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call GEICO at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO or visit geico.com. And with that, we welcome you inside the Hall of Fame room here inside TD Arena. Alongside the head coach, Doug Wojcik, I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for tuning in. Coach, a 1-1 week for you guys. Let's rewind. Obviously, a disappointing loss against Gardner-Webb. Let's go back earlier in the week first, and we'll start with Western Carolina. Great win for you guys on the road again. 67-65 was the final. Some really good performances in that game. 4 guys in double figures, and yet another road win on the season for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the guys really performed well. I mean, Trey Sumler, actually, Western had been playing really well, and we did a great job on their leading scorer. He was averaging 18, 19 a game, ends up getting 24 on us, but he gets 10 in the last minute of play. So for 39 minutes, Anthony Stitt in particular, Nori Johnson a little bit, did a great job on Trey Sumler. We did a great job collectively as a team, and it was a good win for us.
Trent Wiedemann and Ajay Brew both with good games in that game against Western Carolina, especially Wiedemann. Only played, I think, 20 minutes, but had a double-double for you.
Yeah, he's been averaging just slightly over 20, and you know, there's 80 minutes between those two spots, the 4 and the 5, and Ajay's been a little bit higher just because of his conditioning throughout the year, and then, of course, and then there's Willis, who's in his own right had been our MVP many, many times this year. So the 3-man rotation, and from time to time the occasional rotation of Matt Sundberg in that group gives you a formidable, a very good four-man rotation, especially with Matt being able to and Willis being able to stretch the defense.
Coach, we've talked about how many different ways you guys can win ball games. We've talked about how the team wins and have done a better job of winning when Willis doesn't score. Willis goes 0 for 5 in that game from the field, and you guys still win it.
Yeah, kind of interesting because, you know, just 9 days ago he goes for 18 and 13.
Yeah.
And I can't expect 18 and 13 every night, but it really affects our team. I mean, you know, leading into Saturday's game here, I mean, that's a game that other guys produce and we win. And then Willis, you know, doesn't score particularly well on Saturday against Gardner-Webb, and we lose. So as many ways as we can win them, we can lose them too, Jeff. So to be honest with you, I mean, to be fair, we need consistent effort from everybody.
We'll talk about Gardner-Webb in just a minute. First, again, the end of that Western Carolina game. Everett and I were doing the radio broadcast, obviously. At the end of the game, we had all kinds of people tweeting and also posting messages on Facebook wondering what was going on at the end of the game. Basically, in case you didn't see it, the game was tied at 65 with, about 6 or 8 seconds left. Andrew Lawrence gets the basketball at one end, drives all the way to the other end, gets fouled. So he goes, misses the shot, so he goes to the free throw line with a chance to win it with 0.6 seconds left. Makes the first to go up 66-65. I remember on the broadcast, I said to Everett, I said, you know, do you ever think about intentionally missing this one? Everett said, sure, because that way you don't let them have a chance to set up. Obviously, that was your thought, too. You were going to have Andrew Lawrence miss the second one.
There was a timeout.
Right, yeah, there was a timeout, and then you were going to have Andrew miss the second one. At this point, you're up 66-65. Well, every time Andrew went to take a free throw attempt, then Western Carolina would bring a guy into the free throw lane to make sure you guys couldn't do that and get a free throw violation. They did it 3 times, and then finally you guys just made it. But what was the rule there at the end of the game?
Well, a couple things. The strategy for us to miss it now, if a guy gets a rebound off the miss, his back is to the basket, and he's 90 feet away.
Right.
So he has to throw it in. Versus maybe getting the ball on a running motion and going forward to the basket. So that's why we wanted to miss. Secondly, the rule, again, I said this in a good way towards Coach Hunter, out of respect to Coach Hunter. Yeah. He's been coaching so long that I think he wrote the rule book with James Naismith and knows the rules inside and out. So anybody can step in having a lane violation twice, and then they warn him it'll be a technical after that. Well, he had an opportunity to run through his whole 5-man rotation and still sub, right. And it could have gone on for a long time. So basically it was just like, okay, Andrew, make the free throw. And then Ajay did a great job of tipping the ball away, and we were able to get on that bus. We got home at 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. If it would have continued, we'd have gotten home at 3:30 in the morning. Right. So we wanted to get on the bus and get home.
Yeah, because I think he had Trey Sumler step into the lane twice.
And then they warned him.
Yeah, and then they warned him, so then he brought in a different player. And apparently he was just prepared to go through his whole cycle of players.
Absolutely.
Until, But finally Andrew makes the free throw, and like you said, Brew tips away and you guys win it. Now 10-2 on the road. That was a big win, 20th win of the season, locks up a first-round bye. So a huge win for you guys.
Yeah, it really was, and it's just amazing the highs and lows of the season. I really believe that there's, we've had more highs than lows. But then we'll go into this. Then you turn around, and that's a Wednesday game. So you still have Thursday and Friday. You have 3 nights in your own bed. Wednesday we get home late. Thursday, Friday to prepare for Gardner-Webb. And I want everyone to understand that I know as much about Gardner-Webb as I do about Western Carolina. I'm treating Gardner-Webb as a league game because every league game I have, I've never seen the team before. And it'll be the same way next year in the CAA. So we prepped, and we're just kind of an odd home team. I can't put my finger on it. We just didn't play well and didn't shoot the ball well on Saturday against Gardner-Webb.
I was going to say that was the big thing. The guys ended up losing to Gardner-Webb at home, and it was funny that Danny Johnson and I were kind of joking about it, but kind of not at the end of the broadcast. Danny said, I got a great idea. How about if we just put all the guys on a bus, drive them around for about 30 minutes before the game, then drop them off at the front of the arena and let them just play? Because for some reason they're just a different team at home than they are on the road.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's something there that I certainly need to research or at least consider. And again, this is not the coach blaming the players. This is not me. I'm just being real honest and addressing the questions as to why. And there's, you'd have to ask them to some degree. I just know that we have them a little more sequestered in a hotel the night before. I think we're really comfortable with each other in the way we operate on the road. And, for whatever reason, we have not been a good home team from the beginning of the season. And it's a shame. And, we'll find a way to fix it.
It's tough to figure because even in that first half, as ugly as that first half was at times, you guys take a 3-point lead into the locker room. And I'm sure at that point, Gardner-Webb was saying, wait a second, what happened? I thought we should be up at this point.
Yeah, and I know, I know I'm the coach and I'm supposed to figure these things out. But truth be told, I mean, I thought some guys reverted back to mid-December to some degree. We really didn't guard coming out of the second half. We got to stop the first possession. We have a chance to have a layup at the other end in transition, and we don't convert the layup. And, one thing leads to the next, and they're a determined team. They're a good team. They've won 7 out of 8. He's done a nice job coaching them, and they have a real sense of purpose of what they do. The Newsome kid was a great leader for him, a very physical player. And for 40 minutes for Anthony Stitt to guard him, that's a big kid that he has to guard. And I thought that kid did a good job when it came down to winning time.
Coach, you've had a chance to watch the tape in that Gardner-Webb game. Were the guys tight? Did they play tight at home, or were they just missing shots? Because you guys were 1 for 13 from 3 in that second half. You're obviously getting open looks. They just couldn't knock them down.
Yeah, crazy. I mean, Anthony Stitt makes 3 shots, 1 at the end of the half, and then 1 at the end of the game. So the 3-pointer he makes at the end of the game really 0 for 12, really going up into that. I don't know about tight. I mean, it's late February. Tight is. I don't know if tight's a good word. Me and the staff. I mean, we've been through too much. We've had our low points. We had to absorb a loss to Anderson. We had to absorb a 9-point lead to Sanford and lose the game. I mean, what if they're tight now? We got problems.
Yeah.
So I just don't think the ball was going in the basket. I don't know if it's similar. I don't think a lot of people. Respect Gardner-Webb. They're a team that won at Kentucky a few years ago. They're a program. The Big South is not that much rated lower than the Southern Conference. So I don't know who we think we are, that we're this bigger, better conference. We're not. Right. I mean, the truth be told, looking at the numbers and being respectful to all the history and being respectful to the league and all the things that go on with that. But it still comes down to them versus us, and them making plays and us not making plays. And really, at the end of the day, we take a 4-point lead or 3-point lead with the Giants' 3-point play on a play that we ran, and never put them away. We had our chances, and yet still had a chance to win the game after the struggles, but didn't make the plays down the stretch to win the game. And we'll try to fix it.
One last thing to wrap this up. Of course, it was the final weekend of the ESPN Bracket Busters event. They'll no longer hold that. Finally decided to get rid of it after this year. And you and I talked about this on the radio broadcast. It seems like it finally run its course.
It ran its course. I mean, and the greatest example I can give you is, and I've said this to you, is the Davidson matchup. I mean, right. Montana's a good team. Tink, the coach there, is a good friend of mine. But they're an RPI lower than Davidson. Davidson's playing them at home. It doesn't help Davidson.
Yeah.
So, it's not over, Jeff. I don't agree with you. I still have to return a game to Gardner-Webb because of the bracket buster, and I still have Kent State coming in here because of the bracket buster. So,
and like you said, Davidson's got to go to Montana.
Yeah, everyone thinks the bracket buster is done, but I've got to return a game to Gardner-Webb now. So, that's part of my scheduling, part of my future, and we'll try to address that and see if we do that next year.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll check on Joe Cheeley and Terrence O'Donohue, a couple of recruits that will be coming in next year for the College of Charleston as their high school seasons, their careers come to an end. So we'll talk about that. Also, senior night coming up on Thursday against Wofford. We'll take a break and back with more with Coach right after this.
So we all set?
I've got 2 tickets to paradise. Pack your bags, we'll leave tonight.
It's next month, actually.
Paradise.
No, 4, remember?
Whoa.
You know, Ronnie, folks who save hundreds of dollars by switching to GEICO sure are happy.
And how happy are they, Jimmy?
Happier than any money running a travel agency.
Get happy. Get GEICO. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Welcome back inside the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less podcast with the head coach, Doug Wojcik. Thanks for tuning in again this week as we come to you from inside the Hall of Fame room here inside TD Arena. Coach, let's switch gears a little bit and get some updates on Joe Cheeley and Terrence O'Donohue, 2 great players coming in next year. I also wanted to ask you a question. When you watch guys like Joe and Terrence, how much do you evaluate the offensive side of the ball versus the defensive side of the ball when you're watching a kid? Because you have actually recruited 3 of Tulsa's all-time top scorers. So, I mean, is offense something you look at or more defense?
What's really funny now is, everyone attaches the defense and rebounding, even to Coach Kress. And to be a championship team or to be a player in the Big Ten, you got to do both at the highest level. So, but anytime a high school player is a great defensive player and not a great offensive player, that's not a good sign.
Really?
Yeah, because skill is skill. It's still, at the end of the day, as you saw against Gardner-Webb, at the end of the day, you still have to have skill to put the ball in the basket. The team that scores the most points is going to win. So both guys have a very good skill level, very good left hand, right hand. I think Terrence will be able to go inside and post as well as take his game outside, similar to Willis. And then Joe's going to be a multi-dimensional guard, can play off the ball, can play on the ball, and be an athlete that gets to the rim as well as be able to catch and shoot from the perimeter. So I would say that athleticism and then their skill level. Then on top of that, do they have a mentality that they will be a good defender, will be a good teammate? What's their character like? What kind of leader are they? Those are all the intangibles. And quite honestly, at the college level, we're trying to do, a lot has been made of Nick Saban's system at Alabama. At the college level, we're all trying to do what the NBA, what the NFL can do with all their money and resources and all that. We're trying to do that with a college staff, but we're trying to do the same things.
How are Joe and Terrence doing? Only have a couple minutes left here. Those guys.
Yeah, Joe's finished, had a great year. Really took his last season loss hard. And Terrence comes from a great program at Norcross and is still playing. So he's come off that knee injury and starting to play pretty well at this point.
Coach, another big week as we wrap up the regular season. First things first, Thursday night, big night here at TD Arena for senior nights here against Wofford. We'll say goodbye to some guys who've been around for a long time here. Yeah, senior night's always a special night. Obviously, we want to send them off the right way and then turn around and one-day prep for Furman and going on the road. Wofford's is a rival, maybe as big a rival as Davidson, to be honest with you. We played a great game there. A little worried about that trap game there, playing so well at home, or playing so well there and coming back here to play. Kind of like the chat situation the first time, and then of course Furman trying to go win at their senior day on Saturday. So we'll say goodbye to Andrew Lawrence, Matt Sundberg, and Bart Benton. We always talk about Bart and some of those guys at the end of the bench. They do a great job helping you guys scout. Well, they're just as much a part of things, and they all have bright futures, and really, like I said, want to send them off in the right way. All right, good luck this week. We'll talk to you again next week. Thanks, Jeff. It's Coach Wojcik. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for tuning in for another GEICO 15 Minutes or Less podcast here on CofCsports.com. We'll talk to you next week as we preview the Southern Conference Tournament. Thanks again for watching.